Next, so some of the material of this paper has been published in Scopus Journal in Progress in Planning. If you're interested, I can send you the paper. Next. And also the other part also have been accepted in the Journal of Disaster and Prevention Management. And the other, I have also one working paper in the other journal. And I will present what is my finding about my study. So next. Next. Oh yeah, this is my profile. That is my picture wearing the uniform. I'm a civil servant as well. And yeah, Pak Kemal already told about my background. My PhD is from environmental science from University of Canterbury, New Zealand, and I'm also a lecturer in Prana University. Next. Yeah, a little bit refreshment of what we have been done in the last 4 or 5 days. We went to the upstream area here in Puncak, and then the day after we went to the coastal area of Peak as well, Pantai Indah Kapuk. So I hope this gives you a picture of our activities during this field work. And as you know, the lake that we went to is the upstream of Ciliwung River that is go through from this area to the downstream here in the middle of Jakarta. And also there is also a Cisadane River that go through here as well. So my research is focused on flooding in the middle of this area, which I will explain. Next. So you can see this is Jakarta, the city of Jakarta. So you can see the black dots are the informal settlement area, and we can see in total there are 215,000 people who live in informal settlement. And the blue area is the flooding area according to the airway, or we call it municipality. And so I decided to choose the study location based on this consideration. The flooded area should be also the informal settlement area. So I choose 5 kampung at the north side of Jakarta that is very vulnerable to flooding, and also the people there is the one who suffer most from flooding. So that's why I choose the study location. And next. Sorry, next. Yeah, as you can see here, flooding happened everywhere. Yeah, I think it is a famous picture. You already may saw it frequently before. It's at the central, very strategic area of Jakarta, but still it can be flooded and the economy stopped as well. Next. Next. So yeah, flooding actually happen everywhere, not only in the central business district, but also at the rich settlement and also informal settlement. But they have their own way to adapt to flooding. As you can see, the people enjoy flooding with jet ski in the rich settlement here. And also, yeah, in the informal settlement, they have to survive using a boat to escape. So, yeah, next. Yeah. So I want to discuss how we face flooding from the past in Jakarta. So flooding already happened in Jakarta since the 7th of century, during the Tarumanegara Kingdom era. At the time there were no settlement or very few settlement, but still the area is flooded. That is because the geographical characteristic of the area. So until the 17th century, the Dutch colonial government tried to manage flooding in the city by building dikes and canal. They were replicating the dikes and canal like in Amsterdam and Rotterdam. And you can see the master plan. Since the Dutch colonial era, they tried to build that kind of flood control infrastructure. And we call it flood control approach. Next. Until today, we also continue to build the dikes and canal networks in the city. Next. Yeah, but unfortunately, this approach or flood control approach may not enough to manage flooding in the city because, as you know, this approach may be successful in Europe because the characteristic of the river is clean and clear and also quietly move. But when you apply it in Jakarta, the infrastructure network may not really successful, especially the Dutch colonial era. That is because the river is from the volcanic mountain, so it tend to be muddy and also flood very fast, and it leads to worsened flooding in the city. And today the situation can be even worse because of the climate change. As you know, the water volume continuously to increase, and the canal may not enough to hold the water anymore, and the government need to widen the river. But the problem is there is no enough space left for the new development of river. So yeah, as you can see also there is a break on the canal as well because cannot hold the debit of water. Next. So if flood control approach is not working, maybe we need to think another possible solution. One of the solution is flood adaptation approach. As you can see here, the idea is different than flood control. If flood control try to separate the human settlement with the water, but they try to move the water into the canal outside this built environment area. But the flood adaptation approach, the idea is we embrace the water and living harmoniously with the water. So, for instance, if you can see here, the traditional village of South Asian people, they are still houses. So when flooding happens, the flood damage doesn't come to the area, and also, so there is the idea of coexist with the water. So the next question is it possible to have that kind of harmoniously living with water in the modern city like we live today? The answer is yes, there's possible. Like we can see in Singapore, they make a pilates apartment. So you will see in Singapore the first floor is not for houses, will be empty. And when the flooding happens, the water don't inundate the housing units, but only the open spaces. So it's not lead to a flood damage. Also, you can see in Hamburg, the streets in Hamburg, in dry season it will be a street, but in the rainy season it will be a river. And they build temporary bridge to connect people at the second floor. So my research is try to explore the extent to which we implement this idea in Jakarta. Okay, next. Yeah, this is the paradigm of flood control and flood adaptation. In flood control, we assume that water should be prevented, and flood adaptation, we assume that flood can be beneficial for the environment, and also the development of flood control can take a longer time because it's related to centralized infrastructure. But in flood adaptation, the approach is can be faster because the key is to improve the house of each property owner, so it can be faster developed. So next. Yeah, so this is if you overlay the spatial plan map with the flooding, you can see this is the situation. Yeah, and my research is I want to see the extent to which the planning policy can address flooding and how it relates to the flood adaptation approach. Next.
Yeah. One quick question on that earlier slide. Yes, so the blue portion.
Yes.
What is your rough assessment of what is the total population impact?
Yeah, actually it's not really precise flooding map. It's according to the municipal airway for the keluarga. Yeah. Yeah, the white. I don't know, maybe a quarter of the city. Yeah. Yeah, mostly at the north. So my study is at the north. Yeah, next. Yeah, so I have to tell you the background and I will tell you the rest about the study goal, result, discussion, and conclusion. Next. I'm running out of time. Okay, next. Yeah, so my research is built based on the three body of literature. As you can see, I have three body of literature and my research developed from here. Next. Okay, the first one is the spatial planning and flood adaptation in the majority world. So, in the climate change context, flood adaptation is needed to complement flood control. As you see, the water can be more uncontrollable, and the idea is we have to live together with water. And then, unfortunately, and then spatial planning or planning policy is instrumental to promote flood adaptation approach. Because as we know, the development, urban development is based on spatial planning. So if we have a spatial planning policy that has a value of flood adaptation, it may also promote living harmoniously with water. And yeah, but unfortunately, the government consider flooding as an adversity. So maybe it will hinder the idea of living together with water. And the other literature say like talked by Watson and Hall, unfortunately in top-down planning system of the global south country tend to be not responsive or not really supportive of the people in the deprived area, deprived community. Okay, next. And another literature review is local knowledge of flood adaptation in the majority world. Yeah, based on the literature, the idea of living with flood actually originated from the local knowledge of the indigenous people. But unfortunately, those people highly influenced by a globalized idea. So their wisdom may not be exist anymore because of the idea that we want to be like modern in the West, even though everything that have come from the West may not really suitable to our area. Okay, yeah. Next. Yeah, and the last body of literature, I want to see how to integrate the local knowledge that people have into a planning policy. So many study have explored that idea, and one of the strategy is we need to promote the collaborative planning approach, similar that Pak Oswar already present to us about the importance of collaboration. So yeah, in participatory planning, we also need to promote this a more collaborative one to make sure that the genuine aspiration of people can be adopted into a planning policy. Okay, next. And the other problem is if we want to build flood adapted built environment, maybe the area already built as not flood adapted one. So if we want to realize this idea, we have to promote the idea of urban renewal as well. We have to do some upgrading in the settlements. Okay, next. Yeah, so based on those understanding, I have 3 research questions. The first one, I want to see the extent to which planning policy of Jakarta already have the idea of flood adaptation. The second research question, I want to see, is the flood adaptation approach still possible to be implemented in the slum area of Jakarta? Are the people highly influenced with the globalized idea? So do they still be able to develop the flood adapted environment even though they don't have any money for that? Okay, and the last question is, what is the approach of spatial planning that can make sure the knowledge integrated into the policies? So I simulate the collaborative planning with the people in the slum area. Okay, next. Yeah, so this is my case study area. I chose 5 kampung in the North Jakarta where the flood happened. I did my semi-structured interview in all of the kampung, and the focus group discussion and design charrette or urban design workshop on the 3 kampung, the one with the red circle, Muara Aceh, Muara Baru, and Kaliapuran. Next. Okay, the result is, okay, next, first question. Next. Okay, yeah, I found that actually the idea of flood adaptation already there in the planning policy. We can see, identify some articles that can promote flood adaptation here in the city scale planning policy. But as we can see, the planning policy itself has 3 layers in the regional level, city level, and micro level. But I can only find the idea of planning the flood adaptation at the macro level or the city level, not at the other level. That's why the flood adapted environment may not be promoted in the city. Okay, next. Yeah, even the other policy tend to promote the housing eviction around the riverbank, that promote conservation area. So people are not given a chance to adapt to flooding. The government always see them as a problem, and that is, I think, can inhibit the idea of flood adaptation as well. Because if you don't have a chance to stay live together with the water, then you cannot build the flood adapted built environment. And even you can get the criminal sanction for that. Next. Yeah, next. Yeah, so this is my finding about the flood. The second research question. Yeah, mostly I find the situation in the kampung, the flooding happen like this. The water is dark and blocked for a long time, and a lot of rubbish over there. But I found the unique kampung that they have a different situation of flooding. That is, the water is clear and can be absorbed very fast, and they able to do a flood adaptation approach. Okay, so yeah, I will tell you after this how they can adapt to flooding. Next. Yeah, as you can see here, this is the kampung that can adapt to flooding. I find one in the riverside and one in the seaside. And the one in the seaside, they adapt to flooding by reclaiming their land with the clamshell rubbish. So that kind of mound, clamshell mound, is very porous. So if the coastal flooding happens, the water can easily absorb to the ground. And that's also make sure the water not blocked and not dirty. And they also build steel houses that prevent the water to come into their house. And the different approach I find in the riverside. As you can see here, before in this riverbank, there were a lot of houses on the top of riverbank. Even the houses are on the top of the water body. But the slum settlers has their initiative to make a densification, so they move back the houses and make the riverbank clear to make the water absorption area, and they built 3 floors, so to accommodate the population. And also they use the local materials like bamboo that is very sustainable, and they make sure they plant the green area as well. Okay, next. Yeah, but unfortunately their good approach in adapting to flooding is considered illegal by the government. As you can see here, the flood adapted area are located on the top of the water. Even they are located on the top of the road, so the government think that they need to be removed, even though they can provide a solution. Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, the third question. Next. So I did an experiment I want to explore how to make sure that their knowledge can be adopted to planning policy. So the idea is to do a collaborative planning, and the project is to do urban renewal. And I want to see if we do collaborative planning, it is true that the knowledge can be, the slum settler can help the government make a spatial strategy or urban planning strategy or not. Okay, next. So this is the result of the workshop. As we can see here, they have a strategy to build floating houses, or they have a green and blue network as well in the kampung, and they also provide the alternative for the skilled houses for fishermen, and also the one not for as a fisherman. And surprisingly, they can translate their idea into a spatial dimension. So it is possible to import their idea into a planning policy as well. Next. Yeah, so next. Yeah, so this is my discussion or my finding. I think one of the problem is because we have the current situation here is because we have a planning policy that is highly influenced by the globalized idea that is not really suitable for the global context, global south context. So the idea is we need to move to a more localized planning, decolonized planning, and that's why before we have from the top-down planning policy, we tend only to promote flood adaptation and not vernacular built environment. But if we promote a more bottom-up and collaborative planning, we may also promote flood adaptation and also vernacular built environment. Okay, and that is need to be supported by collaborative planning. Okay, next. Okay, next. Yeah, this is the conclusion. It's too long, and I don't think I have enough time. Yeah, maybe that is all from me. Thank you.